Show the kitty. Oh, that's nice.
Okay, have fun, guys.
Oh, she waved. Hello!
Is the gargle part of it, or is it the bit?
I think it's a bit now.
Oh, okay, great. That makes sense. How's it going?
I missed you.
It's been a long time. Tannah's
has
been
been.
on vacation for a whole week.
A whole week. Much needed.
Yeah.
Much needed. I mean, I worked while I was there, so, but.
Yeah, you should stop that.
When you're in the position I am, it's kind of hard not to. But I only did it in the mornings, and the rest of the time I enjoyed it. But I missed you.
Oh, I miss you too.
I really like it when we go on vacations together.
We haven't very often, just once, right?
Yeah.
I really liked it when we went on the one vacation together.
It really set a precedent for me.
It was really fun. That one was really fun. You and Sarah have gone on a lot of vacations together.
Yeah.
Sarah's Tannah's roommate.
Yeah. And I learned a word, and I can not get it right, but in Hawaii they have a word for people who are basically like your adopted family. Mm. And I don't remember what it is. I would look on my phone because I Googled it. But my phone is currently being utilized.
The only thing that I know is from Lilo and Stitch and Ohana.
Means family.
But that's just family.
Yeah. No, there's an actual term for people that your spirit
chosen
sister.
family.
Yeah. And I can't remember what it is, but we learned it on our second to last day there.
Did you learn it from Zaz?
No, we learned it from a local in Hawaii. Well, I mean,
Zaz is local, right?
He was.
But someone else.
So a different individual. Yeah, we were walking these shops, and this person was like, "Are you guys what?" They were trying to figure out what our relationship status is.
Oh, you're like lesbian.
Yeah, people were either like you're lesbian or you're like family. And again, I've said this. I would be happy to be a lesbian. I'm just not sexually attracted to women. I feel like being a lesbian for me would be a lot easier.
That pesky part.
I know. But no, we were like, no, we're like sisters. It's like our bestie sister trip kind of thing. And they were like, oh, are you actually sisters? And Sarah was like, no.
Absolutely not. Thank God.
Yeah, who wants to be related to this? My brother. Anyways, yeah, I went on vacation, but I really did. I missed you. There were things that happened. I was like, Jase would like this.
In Hawaii?
Yeah.
And you just stayed on the Big Island the whole time?
Nice. Which everyone was like, that's the smartest way to go to vacation to Hawaii first, like your first time ever, because all the other islands are much more populated and much closer together. Oh. Whereas the Big Island,
it's bigger. Obviously it takes a little bit longer to get around. Yeah, and the major cities. Mm-hmm. They were cute little towns. But the major cities were the three that we went to were each an hour apart from each other. They're like equally spaced. It was crazy. That's nice.
Yeah. Good
space in between and everything. And you went with, or you went to visit a friend that lives there.
Yes. His name is Asher, and he's the bee's knees. Mm-hmm. And his beautiful, beautiful husband and their dog and Kiki Meow. Aww. It was really nice.
That sounds really nice. That sounds like a much deserved vacation.
It was fun.
Is there anything fun that happened?
So the first day we were there, we went swimming with manta rays. And that's
magical.
Yeah. I love the water. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know how to describe it. Like that's my favorite place to be. I feel the most connected to nature when I'm in the water, and oh my gosh, I love it so much. And the the captain, Sarah climbed up to the captain's quarters first, and then I was like, I'm gonna go up there too. So
Careful.
I'm so sorry. Wood.
You knocked a guy over.
I did? Ah!
That's okay.
Death.
I just have a bunch of Lego figurines on my shelf. No, you're good. He's hard to stand up. He's kind of a weirdo. Great.
But she went up there and she was just sitting and chilling, and then I went up there and I sat down and I started chatting up the captain. He's all lackadaisical, got his feet up on the dash, and he's got his hand, he's just steering the boat. And we started chatting and super nice. I was like, Captain. He was really fun. And I started asking him like really random questions, much like I do when I'm getting to know somebody. Yeah. Like, what's your favorite color? Because it helps me figure out your personality and all these other things and like, how to chat with you. Yeah. And he was like, my favorite color is green. And we learned more about each other in that regard. And he was like, we should like, are you going to be back around Kona again? And I was like, probably at some point. He was like, oh, no. Oh, not in a flirty way. It was like, we should hang out. No. No. Put those eyebrows away.
Maybe Tannah's going to stay a little bit longer in Hawaii.
No. I mean, I would. Not for that, but I learned so much. There were so many things that I learned that I feel like I am like still thinking about and internalizing in all of this. But one of the things that I thought was so interesting is that a lot of people think aloha means hello and goodbye. Mm-hmm. And he said that's just kind of what it turns into.
It's a greeting, but it the deeper meaning. More.
Yeah.
It's like namaste, where people think it just means like
my spirit,
amen almost, but
spirit.
it's like a transfer of.
Yeah. Oh. It's I see you from Avatar, or like my spirit, like I accept you where you are.
Is what aloha means. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
And so when there are signs everywhere, it's like, please take aloha with you.
Yeah.
Instead of like, please take hello with you.
Yes. You know what? There's a Hawaiian creator on TikTok who I desperately wish that I remember the name, and I'll post it in show notes if I can't remember.
Yeah.
But he talks a lot about people visiting Hawaii, because there's very wrong ways to visit Hawaii or native land in any case.
Yeah.
And he talks a lot about going with like proper intention.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a huge part of it, of like spiritually, like going with the intention of adding instead of subtracting from Hawaii is essentially, I think, a lot of what he talks about. But and really, really insightful, beautiful things that he said.
Yep.
That I think is really important.
I should follow that person.
Yeah, I'll send you the...
I'm definitely, I'm learning the older I get. I'm learning I'm a lot more spiritual than I am religious.
Yeah.
And which I think is quite lovely for a journey, like to get to that point.
Yeah.
But that was something that I really related to in Hawaii, was how much they talk about good like energies and stuff. And even with swimming with the manta rays, the captain and his first mate.
I hope so. I hope that's what they were called.
I hope that's what his title was. I'm not really sure. There were only 2 of them on the boat.
The captain and his friend.
Yeah. So the captain stayed on the boat when we were in the water, but the bloke that was with him was actually in the water with us, and he had his fins on, and he was steering us around.
Wow.
So they told us one of the biggest things was, hey, your energy will attract them. Like if it's a positive energy, it will. Not only will the light, obviously, because the light shows the stingrays where like the plankton is and all the stuff that they eat. But also your energy will if you're putting out something negative, they're gonna not be there or whatever. The other thing they kept saying, and this is the one I think negative that I have from this whole trip, besides the puppy situation, which yeah. I'll tell you about that. We were sharing the boat with a family there were like 8 of them, and they had 2 younger boys, probably like 10 to 13.
Okay.
And
so not toddlers.
Not toddlers.
Like they knew
old
what
enough
they were
to
doing.
know what they were doing was rude and inappropriate. And the parents did nothing. So the captain and his crew member were telling us, hey, your energy, blah, 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 like all that beautiful stuff. And then they also said, when you're in the water, you cannot kick your feet, and you have to stay flat. Because
get the manta rays to come.
Yeah, the manta rays are going to come, and there's also fish in there that are going to want to come up and eat whatever the light is showing. And so we were like, oh yeah, for sure. Well, the family, so the 2 dads were sandwiching these 2 boys, and the boys were splashing and kicking and trying. They said, don't touch the manta rays, don't try to do anything. And they kept reaching out because the oil on our hands will essentially deteriorate. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would, did I say the right
harm
word?
in some way.
deteriorate the protection that's naturally on the manta ray's body. And it can cause infection and all of this stuff. So the kids are reaching out. We only saw 4, and they said they were so sorry. The captain and his crew member were so sorry, because usually you see like 15 to 20. Oh. And he was like, he kept saying you can't be upset with nature. But the crew member, after we got done, he looked at me and he was like, I'm really sorry, and he pointed at them, because he fully was like, it was
their fault.
Yeah. And the dads didn't do anything. It got to the point where I was really surprised at how easy it is to communicate through snorkeling.
Just like talking? Or...
Yeah.
Oh.
I was like having full on conversations with Asher.
Interesting.
It was great. But it got to the point where I was like, can you guys stop? Can you stop moving? Mm-hmm. Because you are actually ruining this for a lot of people. Yeah. And I shouldn't say ruin, because I still very much enjoyed it. It was
but it's frustrating. It's like in a movie theater when people are yelling.
Exactly. Kicking and scaring them away. Yeah. Because we're going into their territory. They're allowing us in their territory. And the fact that you have been clearly instructed on what not to do.
I'm still going for it.
And the dads weren't doing anything. In fact, the dads joined them a lot.
Oh, that's frustrating.
So that was the one thing that bugged me. I was like, you have clear instruction. Like, when you go somewhere, you need to be accommodating to the instruction you receive.
Yeah, especially when it's something where it's like, we're sharing this experience. If it's like, if you rent a private boat or whatever and go out yourself, do whatever the you want. Yeah. But like, when you are sharing an experience with someone else who also paid money to be here. Like...
Exactly. That was the other thing. I'm like, I realized that there's only 4 of us compared to the 8 of you, but we still paid as much as you individually paid to be on this boat. Right. So can you rein your children in? That's why I laughed at the picture I showed you of Tilda Swinton as the vampire. And it was like, this is what motherhood does to me. Yeah. Because it was like...
Yeah, I hate something
it was
like that.
Just so sad. The rest of the time was absolutely lovely, though.
So gay people shouldn't adopt kids. That's why.
So they weren't a gay couple?
Oh, you said 2 dads, and I assumed... Yeah,
oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! No.
So there were 2 families with 1 boy each.
They were brothers. Got it. They're brothers, and then their wives. Okay. But that was funny. You don't actually believe that, do you?
I was just fully campaigning.
Oh. You don't actually believe that.
No.
I was going to say, I was like, sure.
I don't want kids, but...
Preach. I do not either.
You know, whatever.
I would be the best aunt to my friends' children, but I personally don't. If I have kids, it will be because I am adopting.
Yeah. That's, obviously.
Oh.
Same.
Yeah. What? You can't have your own?
My uterus is clogged.
It's that shaft right there. You got to take it out.
Anyways.
But yeah, Hawaii was beautiful. That's so wonderful. I learned what the true meaning of aloha is, and we went to the volcano. The volcano was actively erupting while we were there. It was actually truly magical. All of the islanders and the tourists were super hyped about it because the goddess, her name is Pele. So when she shows herself
building land, essentially.
And it's helpful, especially when you can better manage where the lava flow is, because it just goes out to the ocean. But
and adds to the island.
Yeah,
that's the good eruptions.
Yeah, and it wasn't intense at all. It's not like what you imagine it to be, where you can see like shooting up. Sure. And it's not like Mordor or whatever. But we got there, and it was, everyone around us was being so rude and like disrespectful because they were disappointed it wasn't the big like fire explosion firework kind of. All you saw was glowing spots, and when you would zoom in on your camera, you could see the flow. Oh, cool! And it was fascinating because we would see new spots pop up. Yeah. And Zaz, Asher's husband, he grew up in Hawaii. Obviously, yep. He is Hawaiian. He goes there a lot, and he's very spiritual, very connected.
Which, if you know Asher, of course, the person he would marry would be very
just absolutely
connected.
Yeah, they're such good people. But every time he goes, Pele shows herself to him in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And so he showed us a couple pictures, and then he showed us the picture he took while we were there. And you could actually see, I know a lot of people would think that this is crazy or like it's just eyes playing tricks. You could actually see the figure of a woman in different dance positions.
As like in the lava flow and things like that.
The steam. It was incredible.
Yeah. I think...
Oh, I have actual full body chills.
You know what this reminds me of? I've never been to Hawaii. Mm-hmm. But I think white people...
We're the worst.
have taken spirituality into a very exclusively religion culture, which is very damaging in a lot of ways, because it perverts spirituality into obedience, and that's it. And if you don't have the obedience, then it's done. It's over. But it's
very profound.
This reminds me of when we did go to Japan. The most magical experience for me when I was there, like I said, never been to Hawaii, but we went to a temple in Kyoto. So we went to the train station in Kyoto. I'm sorry, I'm about to cry. We went to a train station in Kyoto and walked along the river because we were looking for the bamboo forest, which we never found. But
because the other side of the river.
Afterwards, I looked at the map and it was like clear on the other side of town. We were not close.
No.
But we were along the river and we didn't have very much time.
No, we didn't.
Because we had to get back. Had some plans with friends back in Tokyo or in Osaka, so we went to Kyoto just for a little day trip, and the train station spits you out like right by the river, and there's a million like food places and really beautiful restaurants and carts with food and all kinds of things, and so we just walked along the river, and it was so peaceful and like beautiful and like. It was like in October when we went. So it was like after all the cherry blossoms and stuff had gone away and things were like kind of dying, but it was like beautiful. And there were people just skipping along the river, boats going by us, and we just kept walking. And I don't know what compelled us to keep walking because it was very evident after a while that we were not finding the rainforest or the bamboo forest.
We both had said almost at the exact same time, we're only here this one time.
Yeah.
And so we're like,
let's just go.
Let's go.
Let's see what happens. So we get to the end of the trail and we think it ends, but then there's stairs, right? And at the bottom there's like a little house. Mm-hmm. But and I think that's where the people at the temple lived.
I think so.
But we just went up the stairs and they were like little, I don't know what they were. I wish I had done more research, but just stone, almost shrine looking things with writing on it. And we kept walking up, and eventually we just happened upon a shrine, like a big temple.
Yeah.
Not big, a little temple.
It was the perfect size.
Where just a couple was taking care of it.
Yeah. And,
like just sitting on this mountainside temple looking over Kyoto was like incredible. But then the man like working and living there brought us over and like did like a little prayer with us to the shrine. And that was like such an intense experience for me. And really was like, it's all of these other cultures that developed so like white people have again like developed spirituality to be something oppressive. And for some people it's connecting, and I don't want to like disregard that.
Yeah. So
like whatever. But every other culture has developed spirituality to be such a connecting force. And it's like vital that it is connecting, and vital that it is because it's connecting to each other and helping us understand each other, but it's also connecting to the planet and to nature and to wildlife and to just everything. Everything is connected and part of a unit. And it's beautiful that like there are so many truths of that connecting force that exist in every culture.
Yeah.
And even with like Christianity or whatever, that you can find that it's just been utilized in such a toxic way for so long. But like to see it in like such a raw form where it feels like to see it like that feels unrefined in a perfect way. Yeah. Like it feels like it feels like
there are no rules that you have to follow. It's just what you take from it.
It's like seeing ore in a mountain. It's like this beautiful piece of metal, this beautiful raw piece of metal that hasn't been like tainted or like turned into something it wasn't supposed to be.
That is a beautiful way to describe that.
But
yeah, so we went to Japan, and it was a very powerful experience for us. We stayed up there for as long as we could.
Yeah, for like literally, we were just like, okay, we have to go and get on a train. So we just had to run.
It was magical.
But we gave up on. We saw a couple shrines like with torii gates, and that was really beautiful and nice. But we stayed there for a very long time. Like we did that little prayer with him, and then went inside the temple and just like looked through a bunch of photos and things of the temple as it aged.
Yeah.
And it was
and then
it was
just
really
sat.
incredible.
It was hidden, like you could not see this. You had to. I mean, I don't know how long the steps were. They were like halfway up the mountain, but it wasn't like a huge mountain. But
yeah, it didn't take forever to get up them.
Probably like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But the way that they did it so strategically, so that you, while you're in that beautiful, peaceful place, would not be distracted by the people walking on the trails and the people in the boats on the river.
Yeah.
And if you can imagine, I'm not trying to bring Disney back into this, but what I'm imagining, like it was a combination of Arendelle in Frozen 2, specifically when they leave, because everything is going crazy. All the spirits are going crazy. They were up on a ledge and they would look down at the river. Mm-hmm. It was a combination of that and Tarzan.
Yeah.
But in the trees, and you could look down and you see this canyon of wall to wall tree, and then this beautiful glassy river, and Pocahontas. It was Pocahontas as well. Like, you know what? It's Pocahontas more than Frozen 2 and Tarzan.
Yeah, it felt like it was meant to be this place that could be, it was crazy because really we had no clue where we were going, and it just like happened. But it felt really like this thing that is meant to be attained instead of like desired. So like something that you can't see where you're going. You literally there's literally, even from the other side of the river, the path there, you couldn't see this place from there. No. There's no way. So it's literally a thing that you don't know exists until you get there.
Just happen upon it, and then you have a remarkable experience that you were not and could not plan.
I still have a picture of it where, just because I wanted to remember the view, but it's just, you just look out into like. We should get that printed. The picture?
Yeah, we should get it printed and hung up in our rooms.
Yeah.
Or in our offices or whatever.
It was a really incredible experience. And I imagine in Hawaii there's a similar reverence for that type of thing where, again, like seeing Pele in the steam is something that you don't desire, you just attain. You're gifted it. It's not like a
she
thing. She
really did gift us that.
Yeah.
No one else saw it.
Yeah.
The people around us, again, it's probably because they were grumbling and moaning about the lackluster, and they were like laughing at it. And I was sitting here, we're surrounded. Not only are we witnessing erupting Earth,
like raw energy,
we're also surrounded. We could see the Milky Way. We could.
Oh man.
We were the
so
clouds.
It was at night even.
Mm-hmm, we went at nighttime. Because during the day, it just. I think it was more powerful at night. Because you could see the coloring and the art that she was making. And, you could see her. It was amazing. But then you would be looking at this magnificent movement of Earth, and then you would look up and see thousands upon thousands of stars, and you felt so small but still seen because she was making herself visible to us.
Yeah.
It was so cool. it was so neat. And it's interesting. So along with Pele, we learned that if you see a woman on the, according to, and I hope that I get this correct, but Zaz said that if you see a woman on the road, you are supposed to feed her, an old woman on the road, because it's usually Pele. She's a trickster. And if you don't pay respect to this old woman who's usually dressed to the nines, like looking really, really good, some people that you're with won't see this individual. This is like, people have experienced this. But anyways, the instruction is that you make sure that you feed her and pay her respect or take care of her. And so we went, after we saw the volcano, we were driving home, we stopped at this place called Ken's. It was just like, basically, excuse me, hiccups, like a Denny's.
Oh, okay.
With a massive menu. Gordon Ramsay could never at that place. The menu was huge. But there was this woman, we walked in. We were the only guests, but we walked in and there was this beautiful Hawaiian woman dressed to the nines sitting at the table. And she looked absolutely beautiful. And Zaz is like me. He'll go up to people and just compliment them. And he got an impression that he needed to compliment this woman. So he went over and complimented her, let her know that she looked really, really beautiful. And then she touched his arm and said, "Where are you going?" And looked at him and he was like, "Oh, I'm just going to sit with my friends." And she was like, "Would you like to sit with me?" And he got this impression that it was Pele. Wow. Saying when he asked that question, "Where are you going?" Or when she asked that question of "Where are you going?" Pele does that. She will like ask you these questions that really make you think about what choices you're making and where you are going. And she sat and invited him to sit with her. And it was
so did you all sit with her? No,
we didn't, because she was at a single table, and we needed four seats. So, it was, there were so many things that happened on this that showed me I am much more of I don't care to do like really crazy adrenaline type things on vacations. I want to experience the culture, and I want to experience the way people live, the things like that, the things that you can't plan but just happen to you. You know, that's what I want on my vacations, and I'm really glad that we every single day got that experience.
Man, that sounds magical. Yeah, I love, people laugh at me all the time because I always I love to eat the local food all the time. Yep. My first thing that I do is I go to like the restaurant that everyone says to go to. Yeah. Because I feel like I just want to be enveloped in like what people are doing and what they're eating. And like in Japan, another thing that we got to do is we went to a coffee shop and like asked some of the ladies that worked there, like, where should we eat? And they said, "Oh, there's this ramen place like literally right here.
The egg one.
There's just an egg over this.
Massive egg.
And it's one of those ramen bars that's like really small. You just go into it. It's like an alleyway. Like you go into this thing and sit at a little booth and eat your ramen. And it was like,
that was fun too.
So magical.
Because the people that we sat next to, the guy was dying. It was such a spicy meal, and he was
like sobbing.
He was, and he was so friendly and just. That was good too. That ramen, your ramen was so much better than mine. I should have got what you got. It was really good. Still think about that ramen.
Me too. Every time I go to a ramen place, I think about it.
So good.
But yeah, I think. Stuff like that is just really, really magical.
That was also interesting, though, that we were just walking around looking for a place to eat breakfast, and we just happened to go to the place where all of the international performers at USJ, Universal Japan, would eat at. Like, that's where, like, a lot of the white people would go to. And I was like, that's so interesting. Did we go there because it was familiar to us, or was it just... like, what led us to that place?
Because it was just a random. It wasn't like a Starbucks or anything. It was literally just a random coffee shop.
And it was so good.
But I think we were just like, we saw like pastries or something. We're like, we can go here.
Sure. Yeah. But, also because I have an allergy to fish oil, eating in Japan was really challenging. It was challenging in Hawaii as well.
Oh, I assume there's a ton of seafood and stuff like that. Man.
It was a fun time. Worth it. So worth it.
Yeah, that is really incredible.
But yeah, I bought this ring. I don't know if you can see. I touched the microphone. They're manta rays. And then Sarah wanted to get friendship bracelets.
Oh.
So she grabbed 2 of them, and she was like, I'm going to get this. And I was like, okay. She's like, friendship bracelets. And she was like, which one do you want? I assume you want the blue one. And I said, but your favorite color is blue. Which one do you want? And so she took the blue one, and I took the white one.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah. It was really funny though, because Sarah is the adrenaline junkie. She wants to go skydiving. Like, she wants to go cliff jumping and all of these things. And because I'm a plus size lady, they have weight restrictions on a lot of the stuff that she wanted to do. And she got really, really sad because she wanted to go ziplining and horseback riding in Hawaii. Mm-hmm. And she was looking at it, and on the website she didn't see that there was a weight restriction specifically for horseback riding. And that's weird to me that there was a weight restriction for that.
Yeah, that horse doesn't care.
That was my first thought.
Yeah.
Because I'm from Montana. I grew up horseback riding, and that's a thing that's just a normal thing.
I grew up like breaking horses. So
you get it. But these horses are all from the same, like they are the same family member strain. They are very small. They were very, very small horses.
Interesting.
Much smaller than the normal horse that you would be working on, like a ranch or something on continental U.S.
Huh.
That was another thing I noted. I learned that Native Hawaiians don't get upset. They're very aloha. Like, I see you, I'll meet you where you are. But they really don't like it when people call continental U.S., so like all the 49 states connected, or I guess 48 because Alaska's kind of floating on its own, but they don't like it when we call it the mainland, because the mainland is the big island, of Hawaii.
Oh, because culturally their mainland is their mainland.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I tried to get used to calling the 48 states connected the continental U.S. and then the big island.
I mean,
mainland was Hawaii.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. Like, why would they be connected to us?
Yeah. I don't want to get into politics on this, but there's some stuff that I learned about that specifically that blew my mind.
Like about the Kingdom of Hawaii and things. Yeah. It's trash. Like, I mean, obviously, like, the colonization of America in general is like such a heartbreaking and horrible thing. And like, but Hawaii was like over.
It's still technically illegally occupied.
Right.
Because of what they did to the Queen.
Right.
The Queen of Hawaii.
That's why I'm saying, like, white people will take something and like
ruin it.
Taint. Sorry.
That's
they'll
the
just
proper word, though. Take
a thing and really like corrupt original purpose and corrupt like true meaning of something to gain.
It's just sad because history, it makes me think more and more like how much of history that we learn is actually accurate.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is written by the victor.
Mm-hmm.
It's one side of a story of three.
Yeah. There's I read something too where, like, history is written by the victor. So, like, it's impossible to say, like, the victor will never tell you what atrocities were committed to get there. And I read something about, like, politics in the U.S. and like, the civil rights movement and things like that. And how every single time any progress was made for civil rights, for women's rights, or gay rights, it always comes down to the oppressed always has to seek permission from the oppressor, because that's how politics works. The people that are in charge and the people that have taken and have stolen are the ones that get to decide what is acceptable from the people that they've stolen from. And that is so inherently corrupting, like that power, that type of power. So, like, of course, politics is going to crumble. And, of course, American politicians are going to be corrupt. And, like, because it was built on something that was all about taking and forcing people below them to ask for permission for rights, for basic human rights. And yeah, I'm jealous of that you got to go there and experience like the true story and like not have it, because especially here in Utah, and I imagine in Montana it's similar, but this is like the Old West, right? Like people, Utah history taught to us is so whitewashed.
Yeah.
And it's so clean. Like I remember being taught, like being brushed on like, yeah, this was native land, but like things were traded or whatever. You okay?
I touched the microphone.
Things were traded or whatever, but it was never, you know, like you're never taught about what actually happened, especially in like in a place that was inherently native land.
Yeah.
For way longer than the U.S. existed.
That's why I love, in Montana specifically, I love going to the Native American museums because again, very white passing Native American. Mm-hmm. But that's probably another thing where I feel connected to my roots, but I love watching like powwows and learning about all that stuff because it's their history. It's their stuff that is not, I mean, it probably is influenced by white men, mm-hmm. probably. And I'm not trying to hate on white men in the sense that like
oh, I am.
This is my, it's also me. Like I'm obviously a very mixed race individual.
It's like you have to, there was destruction. Like you have
need to acknowledge that.
You have to acknowledge that. That's the bare minimum is acknowledgement.
And but we went in Hawaii, we went to a palace that and it was not like you would imagine a palace to be. Mm-hmm. It was right on the edge of the water, and it was 3 rooms, 2 bedrooms, and then like a main like seating room upstairs, and then they had a parlor, the dining room, and their like you walk in entryway. Mm-hmm. For me, it was just another, you don't need these big ornate things to live even as royalty. And
because royalty like should have, the English screwed this up too, but royalty should be the ones that are the most connected to the land and the people, because they have to be able to know.
That's so amazing that you say that, because they got to the point where Zaz said that they didn't so much believe in blood being the monarchy and it being a blood relative that takes over. They did have that, but they also started electing people. There was one gentleman, I can't remember his name, and if I did, I wouldn't try and say it anyway because I feel like I would totally just botch it. Beautiful, very long name. But he was the first elected monarch, and the reason why he was elected and why a lot of the people who were elected because they were so connected to the spirits or to the energies, and that's why they were elected. It wasn't because of you're the blood, so you're the next in line.
Like true unmanipulative spiritual leader, along with like,
and that's what they believed. They believed in that because Princess Ruth went and stopped an eruption. She went and communed with Pele for 3 days. They took her up from her palace where we were in Kona all the way up to the volcano that we were at, which is a massive trek. Mm-hmm. And she told her team, her crew, I don't like the word servants, but that's essentially what her aides, to leave her. And she communed with Pele for 3 days and the eruption stopped. They built her a little hut, and that is where she was. And she communed with Pele, and the lava flow came and stopped where her hut was built.
Wow.
Because she was so connected. The energy, that's aloha. Oh, it was amazing. So there's a lot more that we could talk about, and I think it would take forever. But how was your week? You got a haircut?
I got a haircut.
Yes. You do look very striking.
No, thank you. I don't know. I just worked. We had a shoot this week, so I was getting ready for that and doing that, and Got a haircut.
That's
pretty much it.
That's
Jonathan's
nice.
been doing a show, so not much else. I've been reading a book. This book, actually. Lightbringer by Pierce Brown.
I've heard of this book, and I've heard that it's incredible.
Who did you hear it from?
I think Tirza and Garrett. Do you remember Garrett Rushforth?
Yeah. Did they read Red Rising?
I think so.
Oh.
They were talking about it a hot minute ago.
It's an incredible book. The whole series is wonderful. It starts with a book called Red Rising. And then it goes to Golden Sun, Morning Star, Iron Gold, Dark Ages, and then Lightbringer.
Yep, it's this book series.
And it's a really incredible book, like, series. So the first three. Sorry, I feel like this is a weird transition from like very deeply spiritual conversations, but
that's what our podcast is.
Whiplash. I don't want to. I'll try to like respectfully move on and say that was a wonderful conversation, and I'm glad that you had those wonderful experiences.
It was nice because we also got to relive our trip to Japan.
Yeah.
That was nice.
But yeah, I read through the entire series because this book just came out. This is the newest one. Mm-hmm. And read through the entire series and then got to this one. The first three are very like almost Hunger Games-y. They're pretty graphic. They're not sexually, more like there's
murder,
a lot of violence.
And blood and yes.
And it's but they're pretty like almost YA novels, the first three. Not quite, probably, but they're in that realm of like kids. But then
kids.
the trilogy, the second trilogy, is very much so like the main character grows up, and there's a very large war happening in these like the last three, and it's like so intense. Like everything is so intense. The Dark Ages book, the one before this, is so hard to read. Really? It's like so sad. It's not hard to read because it's so good, but it's so sad. There's so many things that happen. And it's funny, there are people that really don't like these three books, but it's like it's such a good evolution in writing to me, because of course like they feel different because now he's older and wiser and more like
he's lived,
torn by war. Like there's so much stuff that's like that exists subtextually that's so incredible.
Yeah.
And it's very much a book about like classism and what's right for humanity versus what's right for individual people. And it's a really, really good series. I love it a lot. Which is probably why I'm very mad about all the white people things that I've been saying. Sorry. It looks like what?
I mean, you're getting through it. You're like almost halfway. That looks far. Almost half.
It's only 600 pages. It's not huge.
But there's something about a good hard back.
Hard penis.
Oh gosh. There's something so satisfying about a hardback.
Oh yeah.
Hardcover?
You know what?
How do you say that?
Hardcover.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hardback. I think both of those are right. But yeah, you know what? I haven't read a physical book in a long time. I've just it's
ASMR.
The sound ASMR. Book ASMR. But I just like have done audiobooks for a long time, and the other 5 books that I have are just in audiobook form. But this one I was like, I pre-ordered it because I was really excited about it and I just wanted to read it. So this is the first like physical book that I read in a long time.
I love that. Yeah. I bought a book series whilst in Hawaii, and it's called Curvy Girls Don't, and it's crossed out and it said can date whatever. And the first one of the series is Curvy Girls Can Date Quarterbacks. And I started reading it, and I was very frustrated. I was like, I was just so frustrated the whole time.
Yeah.
Because I'm a curvy girl and I'm like, you know what? Yes, we can date whoever we want. Like, we're not, just because of our size, we can't be we're not limited. And that's really what the message of the book is. And I was like, heck yes to that. But you'll have to ask Sarah. There would be moments where I would just be like, are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? Because dumb.
Yeah.
Just, like, obviously, choices are made and you should probably communicate things. And when I say should, you do need to communicate things. Everyone should always communicate. It really, really just stops a lot of misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And that was happening a lot in this book. And that was really frustrating for me.
It's one of those, like, youth novels where...
Yeah,
I didn't realize... You accidentally get 2 dates to the prom.
Well, this one, it was very much like he's just not... He's all that. She's all that. That movie, She's All That, where they make a bet and they turn the least attractive girl in the high school into a really hot one. Well, the main character in this one is getting bullied significantly by a popular girl. Mm-hmm. And the main character has a huge crush on the quarterback and has for years. Yeah. Like, they grew up together, whatever. And she's been so bullied by not only the kids in school because of she was all like, her size was a 1X, which is not big at all. Just want to say that.
Curvy girls, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess it would depend on how tall you are. I think it would depend on how tall you are. So if she's shorter and she's a 1X, then maybe. But anyways, she was being bullied significantly by this girl, and this girl was a little fuck. Mm-hmm. Written very well, I will say. The characters in this book were written very, very well. But the whole premise is that they are making fun of her, and finally she stands up for herself, and they were like, yeah, well, I'll bet you that you can't get the quarterback to take you to homecoming. Yeah. And she was like, I'll take that bet, because she was sick of it. She was just trying to prove. And then there were four other girls in the class that were also plus size, mm-hmm. Who are very, very lucky. Like, one of them is super rich, and her family, just everybody, anyone. Yeah. They had, in regards to society, they had everything that they needed. They were just, like, the main character has PCOS, which is what I have. Makes it very, very hard for you to lose weight. Yeah. And a lot of other health issues because of PCOS come. Mm-hmm. And the other girls just happen to be full-figured ladies, and just kids are mean. Yeah. And so she ends up this guy, they date, and he falls in love with her. And then he finds out about the bet, and it ruins their final game and his football career and all this, but it ends up being a good thing because he didn't want to play football. Yeah, but it was just frustrating because it was like,
just tell him.
Why she had so many opportunities, and I was like, I would love to read a book where the main character knows that they need to be honest. Like, they've been going through, like, say, go ahead, make a bet, whatever. If that's your choice to have your characters make that bet, go for it. But then make the choice to write it where they have the opportunity and they take the opportunity to be honest and see what the problem or the repercussions are, and have them work through that. Because I feel like that's more real life than all the other.
Yeah. I think that this like mode of writing is very, like, early 2000s. Because that was rampant in, like, sitcoms, right? Yeah. Like, that's the plot of every sitcom. Yeah. You know what show supersedes that in a great way? Schitt's Creek.
I love Schitt's Creek so much.
It does that thing where there's this potential for conflict, but then they just talk through it and it's done. Yeah. Like, when the day of David and Patrick's wedding, when Patrick gives him a masseuse and accidentally gets a happy ending, it's just a miscommunication. And Patrick immediately understands that it was not, like, David's fault. And then they're just okay, and then they get married. But stuff like that, like, so that's true. Real. Like, that, there's no way. That's what it
should be, at least.
There's no way that, like, someone would be so, like, I thought that that's what you wanted.
On our wedding day?
It's so funny. It's so funny.
And then he looks at Stevie and he's like... She's like... Oh,
was it good? Yeah.
I don't want to know that.
I don't want to know. But was it? I don't want to
answer that.
Was it? So good. So good. But yeah, I think that show does that very well where like conflict, there's a potential for conflict. Or even like when there's two parts to this. But when David finds out that Patrick had a fiance... And then they work through it, and Patrick starts sending him presents, and David forgives him, but lets him keep sending him presents.
What a monster!
and then it's so funny. And then like Patrick has potential to be very mad and break up with him, but they work through it.
Yeah, and he's like, I think I should be given an olive branch here or there.
Yeah,
like
so
yes,
funny.
You should.
So,
or the wedding the bed episode.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
Or the wedding the bed episode where Patrick puts on the bed liner to protect the mattress.
Like the potential, this could be a breakup, but like, he's just nice.
And he just is like,
they're just nice.
Did you have a nighttime oopsie daisy?
Yeah.
A what?
Moira's so funny. Yeah. Yeah. Stuff like that. It's a good, like Schitt's Creek is one of those shows where it's very intentionally supposed to be nice.
Yeah.
Like it's just supposed to be a kind show. And there's not a lot of there's so many shows now that are just intentionally angry. So it's nice to have that one little show that's so nice.
A nice respite.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's like everything.
Yeah. That's everything. Yeah.
And,
man, I love it because we can talk about one thing and then we just go on for hours.
Yeah, that was great. That was really nice. I think that was really nice. I keep like almost burping. We just went to brunch before this.
We did to celebrate our roommate's birthday. Man, there's a lot of birthdays recently. Yeah, all 5 of us
are pretty close together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jonathan and I are in the same month, and then you're the month after.
Me and Sarah are in the same month.
Yeah.
And then Tyler. Yeah.
And then Tyler.
And then
just kidding.
Yeah, and then Tyler. Yeah. I love him. But
yeah, if you get a chance, you should read these books. I'll give you the audiobooks if you want.
Okay.
But they're wonderful. And they're really... I like these... There's so much depth in these later books. I get frustrated because people don't like these more recent ones. And I'm like, I think it's such an evolution in, like, Pierce Brown's writing. Like, he obviously had, like, a big change in the way that he was writing things. And he like matured a lot as an author, and I think that should be encouraged.
That's awesome.
Like, you don't want a band that makes the same album over and over again. You want the band to mature and have a different album every year or every 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, like T Swift.
Eras, eras, if you will.
Or Adele.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, hers, like, you can feel maturity in how her albums have progressed, especially her most recent one where she includes like all the stuff about being a mother.
Yeah.
So good.
And her friendship with James Corden.
Yeah.
And
it's really cool.
There's a lot, man. Maturity.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that was a good talk about spirituality and hating white people.
Not all white people are bad. There's a lot that really want to do something, but they're just stopped because of greed.
And they were
greedy people.
The society that white people grow up in is just so much like, it's so blinding. You have to like really work to break your own societal bias. And I don't just mean like racial bias, but that's part of it. Mm-hmm. But like societal bias. And to come to terms with the fact that you were given things people weren't.
Yeah.
But it's hard for some people.
It's called privilege.
Anyways.
Careers.
No.
Did you want to talk about that today?
I think it's been an hour.
It has?
Yeah.
Then we're not talking about careers.
I think that what we did was correct.
Yeah.
Because I get a little... We talked about just talking about spirituality before this. And I get really nervous because of everything that we've talked about. Like, I'm not claiming to be a wealth of knowledge on other cultures' view on spirituality.
Never, ever would we.
And because I know that I am lacking.
Yeah.
And I know that I grew up in a society where I am lacking. And so I was nervous to talk about that before, but I'm glad that we did, because I think we handled it in a good way. I hope so. And I'm sorry
we didn't talk about...
I feel like I'm not like trying to put my beliefs on spirituality on other people, which I think is why it worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think we talked about it.
We're just talking.
So I'm glad that we did end up talking about that, and I'm glad that we went through your trip into Hawaii.
We could have gone harder into it, but we didn't. That's it.
With that said,
follow us on the TikToks and follow us on the YouTubes and follow us on the Instagrams.
Mm-hmm. Everything's in the show notes.
Yes, everything's in the show notes.
Including our personals.
Uh-huh. Which is?
Jase Van
and Tannanigans. And You're the Onesie I Want.
And the Great Emu War. Musical.
And the Great Emu War
_the musical.
Yeah. We're going to record a demos in a couple weeks.
Yeah. So we're going to try to rehearse next week and then record a demo the week after that. So hopefully something happens.
It's going to be so fun.
We'll see.
It's going to be so fun. And that being said, I'm Tannanigans.
I'm Sweepy.
I'm Sweepy. My favorite part was that your hair went like this.